Okay, this next product, this lipstick, I was so shocked that 2 of you guys talked about this because, hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited about today's video because I recently asked you on Instagram to tell me what your most recent makeup purchase was. I got thousands of responses. I went through every single one and I gathered a full face of products based off of what you guys have recently purchased. I personally feel like this is so fun because I don't know if you guys are the same, but for me, I am so curious as far as like what other people are into, what other people are buying. I want to know what's in their makeup bag. I'm just so into that stuff. So this kind of gave me that kind of a feeling, and I'm excited to share all these products with you. So many of them are my current favorites as well. And it was just really interesting to see what you guys are gravitating towards and what you're choosing to buy. A lot of these things might be repurchases for you. Other things might be something that's brand new to your collection. So anyways, I'm gonna be doing a full face using everything that you guys bought. So we're gonna start off with the brows. 2 of you actually just bought the NYX Fill and Fluff Brow Pencil. So I've used this before, and since 2 of you guys bought it, I knew this is what I wanted to use today. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the color Ash Brown. And I'm gonna start to fill in the brows with this. And then the other side is like a little tiny brush, and I'm gonna use that to blend it out through the brows. I've heard that this is apparently a dupe for the new Fenty brow product. I think because it has the brush on the other side. I don't know how comparable the actual formula of the brow pencil is because I haven't tried that one. If you guys have tried the Fenty one and you've tried this one, can you leave a comment down below telling us if it's a good dupe or not? Because I've been kind of curious to know if it is. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill in the other brow. Okay, so brows are on. We're gonna kind of go in a weird order. I'm gonna prep the skin a little bit right now just so that it has time to really set into the skin before we apply foundation. At least 4 of you guys said that you had just recently picked up the Mario Badescu Rose Water Spray. This is one of those products that maybe was a repurchase for some of you. Maybe some of you just had heard about it and you wanted to give it a go. I love this product, and someone specifically said that they like to use it to prep the skin, so that's what I'm gonna do today. So I'm just gonna spritz this. It smells so good. If you like the smell of roses, you will love this. It kind of calms the skin. It's very nice. 2 of you said that you recently picked up the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream, which is one of my absolute favorite skin creams, especially for underneath makeup. It's so incredible. Obviously, you don't have to use it underneath makeup. You could use it just in your skincare routine, but it's especially amazing underneath makeup. So I was excited to see that 2 of you had picked this up so I could use it in this video. I went upstairs to go find my bottle of this, and I looked everywhere, and then I found it in my husband's bathroom drawer, and I opened it and it was completely empty. So Tylen, I'm calling you out. He loves Tatcha. He loves it. So he used all of my dewy skin cream. So this is a brand new one, and I think I'm gonna have to hide it from him. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this all over the skin. I almost feel like I applied too much. You really don't need that much at all. Oh no, there's a bug in here. I'm just gonna take the extra and run it down the neck, and then we'll let it sink in while we do our eyes. Okay, so I was shocked about this, but also not so shocked because it's a newer release, but at least 25 of you guys said that this was the last thing that you bought. So I'm gonna use it again. This is the So Jaded palette from ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. I'm gonna use my NARS tinted eyeshadow primer. Nobody said that they picked this up, but I just want to use it because this is what I use underneath any eyeshadows these days. I use the shade Light, if you're wondering, and I just blend that out with a brush first, and then I take my finger and just make sure that it's nice and blended out and that there's no brush marks left. I'm going to start off with this shade right here called Royal Jewels. For some reason, I always have a hard time saying that. And I'm just going to start to buff this in the crease and a little bit above as our transition shade. I'm trying to think of a look that I haven't created yet with this palette. I've done 4 looks so far on my channel. I'll have those linked down below, but I'm wanting to kind of do something that I haven't done with colors that I haven't really used. Is it too weird to like match my shirt? I don't know. I think I'll try it. I'm gonna take that shade called Citrine, and I'm just gonna start to layer that right in the crease over top of the shade we just applied. And I'm actually buffing this like over the entire area, just kind of mixing the 2 colors. I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye. I'm just dipping back into the pan and then really working the product all over the eyelid. I like to make sure that it's all blended out before I dip back into the same color. That way I don't overdo it and I can kind of slowly build the colors instead of regretting putting too much yellow on the eye, you know? I'm going to dip into this shade right here called Geodude. And I'm going to start to work this on the inner and outer corner of the eye. I'm kind of feeling like doing some sort of a halo eye. I feel like this shade is probably one of my favorites in the palette. It looks amazing just packed all over the lid with mascara for like an everyday look. I just think it's such a cool color. So I'm applying that on the inner and outer corners, and then once there's a little less product on the brush, I do like to kind of connect that at the top a little bit. Okay, what should we do next? I think I'm gonna take a bit of smoky quartz. I'm just gonna take that on my finger, and I'm gonna layer that in the very center of the eye to start to create that halo effect. Okay, I think I'm gonna deepen it up a little bit. I'm gonna take a teensy bit, wait, I was gonna do stone, but I think I'm gonna take jasper. I don't know. I'm just gonna take a bit of jasper and deepen up those outer corners a little bit. I kind of like that. It translates as a brown almost, but could also pass as like a dark purple. I think that looks really nice. Let's do the same thing on this side. Okay, once that's applied, I'm taking the brush that we were using with citrine, the yellowy shade, and I'm just really lightly making sure that everything is blended up into the brow bone area. Okay, I'm really liking how things look. One of you said that you picked up the Stila Glitter and Glow liquid eyeshadow and you picked up the shade Wanderlust. I happen to have that and I felt like it would be a really fun way to add some sparkle to the eyelids. If you don't have this, you could definitely go into the So Jaded palette and take Diamond or Topaz even and just kind of tap it in the center. But I'm just going to take this Wanderlust shade and I'm just going to kind of press that in the center of the lid and then take my finger to kind of scatter it around a little bit. I think that looks so pretty with the smoky quartz shade underneath. Same thing on this eye. I'm just kind of tapping it. I'm not really using wiping motions because I don't want to get rid of any of the eyeshadow underneath. So I just kind of apply it initially with the applicator and then tap it in with my finger. This is such a cool color. It's kind of a duochrome. It leans greenish gold and then pink. I don't really know if it's catching on camera or if you can see that at all on my hands. I don't know. It's really pretty. My initial plan was to use the NARS Make Up Your Mind palette, which looks like this. It was available at Ulta and it went on sale for like $35. I mentioned it on my Instagram story and a lot of you guys had purchased this. Like a lot of you guys had this as your last purchase. So I was gonna use it and then I went on Ulta's website and they don't have it anymore. So I think it was a limited edition item. So if you did pick it up, that's amazing because it's a great palette, but I decided not to like incorporate it into the look just in case because now you can't get it anymore. So, all right, I really like the vibe of this eye look. It really does match the yellow on my shirt, which I am into. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe away any fallout under the eyes. And there's honestly not much at all. And I'm gonna take my finger and just kind of press out the edges just to make sure it's not too harsh. All right, let's move on to the face. At least 13 of you guys said that this was the last thing that you purchased, and so I lost count after a while. It's the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, and let me tell you, what a great purchase because this is such a good product. I have been really enjoying it. I just take it on my finger and I kind of press it into the areas where I have larger pores, which is the T-zone for me. Okay, so for foundation, at least 5 of you guys had picked up the NYX Born to Glow foundation. So this is the one I'm going to be using in this tutorial today. Several of you also picked up the Believe Beauty foundation. What else? A lot of people picked up the ColourPop tinted moisturizers recently. The Shiseido Synchro Skin foundation was also one that a lot of you guys picked up, and several more. But since the majority of people who bought a foundation bought this one, I felt like this would be a good one to use. I'm in the shade Vanilla, and I'm just going to go ahead and use a brush first to blend this out all over the skin. And I like to use a brush to kind of evenly distribute that all over the skin. But then I always like to go in with a sponge. This is the ColourPop sponge. I've been really into it. And I just go over everything with a sponge to smooth out the brush lines and to press it into the skin. It just makes it look way more natural. But when I use a brush first, it allows me to get like the amount of coverage that I want. And then you follow it with a sponge and you get the beautiful natural looking finish. Okay, so before I move on to concealer, I wanted to use the Catrice Prime and Fine Dewy Glow Setting Spray. 2 of you guys said that you recently picked this up, but one person specifically said that they just picked up 3 because they like to use it before and during and after doing their makeup. So I thought I would use it during. I'm just gonna go ahead and spritz this. Okay, and I'm gonna use that to make the foundation even more glowy. Okay, for concealer, I'm going to go into the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Concealer. Now, the person that told me about this, or said that this was the last thing they picked up, said that they've repurchased this 3 times, so I knew that this was the concealer I wanted to use. I've used this before, but I honestly can't remember how I feel about it. It's been that long. So I'm just going to take the shade Fair W1 to 2, and I'm going to draw this underneath the eyes, down the center of the face. And I'm also going to cover blemishes. Normally I try to find a little bit of a deeper shade for blemishes, and I had another shade of this, I just couldn't find it. It's in my concealer drawer somewhere, but it escaped me today. So this is the shade we're gonna use. I'm gonna go ahead and blend all of that out with my ColourPop sponge. So 2 of you said that you recently picked up the Hourglass Veiled Translucent Powder. So this is the powder I'm gonna use to set my entire face. I also have another powder that 2 of you said you picked up that I'm gonna be using in the T-zone. But I'm first gonna be taking a little bit of that Hourglass powder on a bit of a smaller brush, and I'm gonna lock in the under eye concealer with this. I do really like this powder. The thing I like about it is that, similar to the Charlotte Tilbury one, they're not dupes for each other, they're not like the same thing, but it doesn't leave the skin looking completely matte and flat. It has a little bit of a luminosity to it, which I really like. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that powder, and I'm going to use this to set the rest of the face. I feel like I could have used a little more concealer on some of these blemishes. They seem to be showing through a little more than usual. Oh well, we're gonna make it work. It just makes the skin look more natural if there's imperfections, so. All right, 2 of you also recently picked up this right here, which I love this. This is the Jouer Soft Focus Hydrate and Set Powder. I have mine in the shade Fair, and I like to use this with a big brush, and I like to use it over the T-zone. I just feel like it really helps to smooth over any texture. It also has a little bit of a tint to it, so it kind of tones down any redness as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and press this into the entire T-zone. I'm just wiping off any foundation that got on the lips. So this next thing is something that I was really shocked at how many people had recently purchased. I mean, I don't blame you because it's beautiful. It is limited edition, and I was debating whether or not I should put it in here, but since it is available right now, I thought I would, just in case, just to let you know, because it is such a beautiful palette. But at least 12 of you guys picked up this Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost palette from Hourglass. This is the entire face palette, so you get some blushes, bronzers, finishing powders, and a highlighter. They also have a blush quad that a lot of you guys said you recently picked up. I don't have that, so I just thought I would use this right here, but at least 12 of you guys bought this palette specifically. And one other person actually just picked up this right here. They sell these individually. This is the Hourglass Finishing Powder in the shade Dim Light. This is a beautiful powder. I'm just gonna take that same exact face powder brush, and I'm gonna take the shade Dim Light, and I'm just gonna buff it all over the entire face. And this is like a good finishing powder. It's gonna bring light back into the skin. It's gonna make your skin look super glowy, and it's just gonna give like a soft focus effect to the entire complexion. So I'm gonna do that first. Then I'm gonna dip into this second shade right here. This is the Hourglass Finishing Powder in the shade Diffused Light. This is a little bit lighter, so it's gonna work great for brightening the under eye area. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit of that underneath the eyes. And I'm also gonna brighten up the center of the face with that same exact finishing powder. I like to just go down the nose, on the chin a little bit. Okay, we're gonna move back to the eyes really quickly. I'm gonna be dipping back into the shade Royal Jewels, and I'm gonna start by applying that across the entire lower lash line. I'm gonna take a bit of citrine, which is that mustard yellow tone, and I'm layering this right on top, just like we did on the top lid. I'm just blending this out, making sure to connect it to the existing shadows on the outer corner. Okay, next I'm going into the shade Smoky Quartz, which is what we used in the center of the lid on the top. And I'm gonna take that on a smaller brush and just pack it in the center of the lid on the lower lash line. I'm gonna deepen up the sides a little bit with that Jasper shade, which was that kind of purpley brown color we used on the top. I'm taking that same brush and I'm just pinching the edges just to kind of make it a little more precise. And I'm just adding a little bit of that to bring some definition onto that inner and outer corner, but I don't want it to be too intense. Again, I'm making sure to connect this to the existing shadow on the corner. All right, we're gonna go back into, where did it go? The Stila Wanderlust Glitter. I'm gonna wipe off the extra on the sides of the component, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of that and kind of tap it along the center of the lower lash line just for a little extra sparkle. Okay, let's apply mascara. For mascara, at least 4 of you guys said that you bought the NYX On The Rise Volume Lift Mascara. I love this stuff. It definitely is one that takes me a minute to build it to the volume that I like, but it's worth the wait. It is so good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this to the top and bottom lashes. I normally do about 3 coats on the top lashes and 1 to 2 coats on the lower, depending on what I'm feeling like. So I'm just gonna go ahead and layer this up off camera. Even one coat is pretty though. So if you're not someone who likes to build it up, you don't have to. But I'm gonna go ahead and do 3 coats and I'll show you how much volume you can get out of this. I mean, look at that. That's 3 coats on the top lashes and it literally looks like I'm wearing falsies because it gives volume, but it also separates the lashes so beautifully while you build it up. I'm obsessed with this mascara, so I hope those of you who just bought it really like it as much as I do. I think it's absolutely amazing. So I'm actually gonna be using the bronzer from the Ghost palette. One of you said that you picked up the Hourglass bronzer in the shade Luminous Bronze Light. The bronzer shade in this palette is called Eternal Bronze Light, so it's a little bit different, but that's okay. We'll use it anyway. I'm just gonna go ahead and take my brush and dip into that bronzer, and I'm gonna start to use this to warm up the complexion. I'm buffing it along the forehead and into the hairline. I always love to take it along the jawline and down the neck. For highlighter, I'm going to take the highlighter in the palette. This is beautiful. I've really been enjoying this one. This is the Hourglass Strobe Powder in the shade Iridescent Strobe Light, and it is beautiful. So I'm just gonna go ahead and layer this up along the high points of the face. It has a slight pink hue to it, which doesn't really match like the makeup look as far as the eyes go, but I still wanted to use it because it's so beautiful. And I've been really loving this palette with my more ethereal eye looks that I do because it's a little bit more pink. And I just feel like it complements everything really nicely. I also recently used this palette and I used the bronzers and the blushes as eyeshadow and it all looked so beautiful together. So even though it is Hourglass and it's more pricey, you do get to try out a lot of different products in here if you haven't tried the brand yet. And you can also use it in so many ways. So I personally have been getting a ton of use out of this palette and the colors are beautiful in my opinion. Okay, we're gonna do things a little bit differently. I'm gonna actually switch to a cream blush, which I normally would have done earlier, but this cream blush actually works on top of powder, so that's why I'm doing it now. So 4 of you guys picked up the Honest Beauty cream blushes recently. A couple of you specified the shade. One of you said you picked up rose pink and the other one said peony pink. And then the other 2 people just said that they picked up the blush. So I think what I'm gonna do is probably this one right here. This is called Rose Pink. And I'm just gonna take my sponge from ColourPop and I'm gonna dip right into the pan and I'm gonna smile and I'm gonna start to apply that to the cheeks. These blushes make your skin look so healthy and I love how you can apply them over powders. You have to be gentle, of course, but they do work over top of any powders that I've ever tried them with, which I really do like because then I find myself using them a little bit more versus, you know, having to put them on a cheek that's not set with powder, which doesn't really happen for me. I love to set my entire face, you guys probably know. I think that's super pretty. And we're actually going to use a mixture of the 2 blush shades in this palette. I'm obsessed with this blush shade, but I love them both. I'm gonna take a dual fiber brush. This is the Sigma Small dual fiber brush. And I just feel like setting the cream with this iridescent blush is gonna be so pretty. I don't need that much because we already have color on the cheeks. So I'm just kind of buffing that into the skin. Woo, that's pretty. I love that. Okay, I'm taking my sponge and I'm just pressing over all of the edges just to make sure everything is nice and seamless. Okay, I'm actually loving how the skin is looking, even though I said earlier that I felt like I needed a little bit more coverage over some of the blemishes. I mean, I still kind of agree with that, but overall, when I step back and look at my skin, it looks super, super healthy. That is the nice thing about these Hourglass powders is they all do have an iridescence to them. So when you apply them to the skin, it gives you a really beautiful, naturally lit from within kind of an effect, which I love. Okay, we're gonna move on to lips. One of you guys said you picked up the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lip liner, which is one of my faves, as you can see. I might need to buy a new one of these soon. So I'm gonna go ahead and line the lips with this. You know what I liked about doing this video and going through all the products you guys talked about? I noticed that some of you guys bought things that were brand new, but others just bought things that, you know, have been around for a while. And it made me happy to know that like you guys are still just buying the things that you like and that you are inspired by, whether they're brand new launches or not. It kind of made me happy because I'm the same way. I don't care if the product was launched 20 years ago. If it's something I'm into, or something that I've wanted for a while, I'll buy it. People might not be talking about it, but that doesn't mean it's not a good product, you know? This Pillow Talk lip liner is everything, by the way. I love it. Okay, this next product, this lipstick, I was so shocked that 2 of you guys talked about this because I have not said one thing about it on my channel yet. I've worn it only a couple times so far. It's brand new to my collection, but it has quickly become one of my favorite lipsticks, so I was shocked that 2 of you said you bought this same exact shade from this line, the one that I've been loving and that I was going to share with you guys. I don't know if somebody else talked about this or what, but I kind of felt like, okay, we're all on the same wavelength here. This is from the I Need a Nude collection from Natasha Denona. She came out with so many beautiful nude lipsticks, but this shade specifically is to die for. This is the shade Beatrice, and it's unbelievable, you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and layer it on top of the Pillow Talk lip liner, and I'm just gonna take my finger, kind of blend the two together. The thing is, I've used this with like different lip liners, and it completely transforms your end result depending on the lip liner that you use. So this one obviously is gonna be a lot more pinky nude, but I used it with more of like a brownish nude, and it was amazing. Isn't that such a good color? And I normally don't go for colors this light because see that line that it makes in my lip? I usually hate that, typically because it wears weird throughout the day, but this lipstick wears off so beautifully that I didn't have any complaints about it when I wore it for an entire day. It just wore off without leaving that line there, which is something that I really liked about this. So I was excited to be able to use it in this video because it honestly is such a beautiful lipstick. One of you guys said you picked up the Hourglass lip gloss in the shade Truth. I don't think I've ever used this. Hourglass actually sent me this entire lip range, and I've kind of just been reaching for the same 2 colors, but this color is a beautiful kind of pinky nude color, which is gonna match this look actually perfectly. I'm just gonna add a bit of that on top. So that did deepen up the lip color a little bit. You could honestly just wear this gloss on its own because it has such a beautiful opaque color to it. I'm just taking my finger again and just making sure that it's all blended together. Well, my friends, this is looking so pretty. Let's quickly do an inner corner highlight. I'm gonna dip back into the So Jaded palette, and I'm gonna take the shade Pearl, and I'm just gonna use that to brighten up the inner corner. I like to bring it right here under the lash line a little bit. And I've also been so into highlighting this inner crease, so I kind of like scoop it really lightly around that area there, and I just feel like it adds something really pretty, and it just completes the look in my opinion. So we're gonna add a little scoopity doopity right there. Ooh, look at that, so pretty. And I'm gonna take what's left on the brush and just pop it right underneath the highest point of the brow. All right, let's assess the situation. I'm gonna take my bronzer brush and kind of add a little bit more to the forehead, but honestly, I feel like I really like how soft the bronzer is today. You know, I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna go ahead and set the face with the Catrice Prime and Fine first. So I'm gonna go ahead and spritz this all over. And again, this is the Dewy Glow Fixing Spray. I'm gonna use my fan. And once that's almost dried down, I'm just gonna take the sponge and kind of lightly press this into the skin. And then a couple of you guys actually recently picked up the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. So I thought I would layer this on top. I usually love to layer like a dewy setting spray and then put something that's long wearing because you kind of get the best of both worlds that way. It's a little bit of an extra step, but it's worth it in my opinion. So we're gonna spray this all over. Same thing, doing the fan. And once it's almost dry, I just take my sponge and lightly press that into the skin. Look how glowy the skin is right now. And I'm not mad at it. Okay, for brow gel. Okay, one of you guys said you just picked up the Benefit Gimme Brow. I don't know what happened to this packaging, but it got like smashed in manufacturing. But the product is still great. This is the shade 4. So I'm gonna use this to set the brows. Okay, I think we're done. I'm just gonna take a little bit of the powder brush. I didn't put any extra powder on, but I just kind of want to tap what's left in the T-zone because we're looking extra glowy. I don't mind the glow. I just don't want it to look greasy in a couple hours, you know? All right, you guys, so that completes the video using all of your most recent makeup purchases. I love how the look turned out. It was so fun for me to like hear about what you guys are buying. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video and seeing what other people are into right now. I feel like it's kind of fun to see what people are not only interested in and purchasing, but also like repurchasing. It's so fun to see that some of these classics have lasted through the craziness of the beauty world things like the Urban Decay All Nighter, the Mario Badescu spray, Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, and things like that that are like classics in my book. It was fun to see that you guys are still buying those and really interested in them. I don't know, it was kind of fascinating for me to go through all of your responses. I feel like we have very similar taste in makeup. The makeup look turned out so beautiful. I'm in love with this. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button. And if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I post. Since you guys like told me what you recently purchased, I feel like I owe you. So I'll tell you the last thing that I bought. The last thing I bought was the new Huda Beauty Nude palette. She has like 3 different colors, one that's kind of lighter toned, medium, and then deep. And I feel like they're kind of catered to specific skin tones, and they're gonna be the perfect like nude neutral palette. And it's her mini ones. I bought the light one because it has like lavenders in it. I'm so excited. It actually got delivered today and I'm so excited to open that up. And the thing I bought before that was the entire Disney ColourPop collection. Oh man, ColourPop is killing me these days. Like it used to be that I would be able to, you know, have a couple weeks between things that I was interested in, but they've been really just bombarding me with things that I want all the time. So those are the 2 things that I recently purchased. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys for coming back to my channel and for watching my videos. It means so much to me. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye.